To build 3D delts, I only focus on these three things: front, side, and rear. I'm gonna start with the back side. Pause. We're gonna start with the rear delts. So when it comes to the rear delts, there's a few things I like to use. One is a rear delt fly, but most importantly, I like to do a dumbbell fly. I'm gonna share both variations with you. Now, when it comes to the rear delt fly, one thing that I like to do is instead of holding it this way, I like to keep my palms open and drive with the meat of my hand. Squeeze 1, 2, and then slow on the way back. Now on the way back, I like to keep my chest up so I can stretch the muscle, and as I'm coming out, engage it once again. 1, 2, and then slow on the way back. And the reason why I prefer it this way is engagement's a lot higher versus just going this way and just flying it out. There's no control, and when you have more control, you're more likely to target the muscle group. Because you have to understand, the real delts are a very small muscle group. So you don't necessarily need to do a lot or you need to push a lot of weight to actually target it. All you need to do is to, well, be focused, be intentional in how you're driving out and engaging that muscle group, and on the way back, really focusing on that stretch, pinching it through, and then back again. But I'm gonna show you one more exercise that I love doing when it comes to the rear delts. Let's go. Next up is a seated rear delt fly. Now with the seated rear delt fly, I actually like to push my foot forward, and then once I lean in, my chest is up, the dumbbell is right under my legs, and the biggest thing I'm doing is I'm driving out, is I'm not just flying out and bringing my chest up. I wanna keep my chest down, and then from here on, palms are gonna be facing in, we're gonna drive out. One thing that you see my hands are parallel to my head, while my elbows are parallel to my rear delts. It's exactly what you want. And you wanna come up here, hold, 1, 2, and then slow on the way back, just like this. Nice and slow, stretch. Come right up. Ugh. And again, as you come up, engage that muscle, try to hold it, and then slow on the way down. As soon as you get to the bottom, come right back up. When you pause, you're losing that tension. And keep that muscle group working all the way through that set for all those reps. And now we just hit the backside, pause, let's go to the lateral head. We're gonna bring this bad boy down. Oh, that was loud. I'm gonna use one of these attachments right here. Now, when it comes to the cable lateral fly, one thing I see a lot of people do is like lean in, so therefore they can keep a stretch on this muscle. But one thing you have to realize is you can do the same thing while standing up and just standing a little bit further away from it. And you don't necessarily have to use that hand, because once you're using this hand, especially when you get towards the end, you're gonna use it as momentum. For me, I like to remove as much momentum as possible and allow that side delt to do all the work, come up. And as I'm coming back, I'm not just gonna stop here. I'm gonna let it come to the opposite leg. And as soon as I go past my thighs, I come right back up. Again, allowing myself to stay within that position, fully stretch that muscle, and come right back up. Because one thing you have to understand, this is not just one muscle group. Your side delt has like 4 different little fibers. And one thing I highly suggest is as you're doing it, especially when you're up here, hold it for a few seconds. Allow those muscle groups to just twitch a little bit. And as you're coming down, slow stretch them, so therefore you can stretch every one of those fibers. And then as you come up, you're engaging it through. Now I'm about to show you one of my personal favorite, which not a lot of people might agree with, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Lateral raises, but there's a twist. Instead of being in the front, I like to be in the back. Why am I talking about a lot of back right now? All right, but from here on out, you see where my hands are and where the dumbbell is positioned? As I'm driving out, my chest is up. My elbows are not straight out, but slightly bent. And as I'm coming up, I'm driving with the meat of my hand, right? Driving with the meat of my hand, coming up, 1, 2, slow on the way down. I started doing these about a year ago, and it took my shoulders to a whole different level. And I would highly encourage you doing them with very lightweight, because they are a little bit difficult. So from here, hands out, come up, 1, 2, slow on the way down. Allowing you to fully stretch and engage that side delt, leading towards maximal growth. Whew. God damn, it's a tough one. Now, we got the front delt. The front delt, you hit when you're doing incline and you hit when you're doing shoulder press. So those you already know. Standing overhand, front raise. From here, stand up tall, knees slightly bent if you're a little bit short like me. Well, I'm actually 5'11", so I'm not that short. But you don't want to take your balls. And then from here on out, come up, 1, 2, slow on the way down. One thing that you don't want to do as you're doing this is on the way back, you bring it back. That takes away from your front delt, right? So you want to keep constant tension on the muscle. So leave your hands straight out, come up, and as soon as you hit your legs, right back up. Nice and easy. 2, all the way through. 3. And again, this is going to allow you to hit that front delt without necessarily incorporating other muscle groups. Usually if you're doing a front raise, let's say with an easy bar, sometimes you tend to use a little bit of momentum, right? So remove that momentum by putting your body in a fixed position to where it stays stable, and the only thing doing the work are those arms, allowing to go through the full range of motion, engaging that muscle group, and again, growing those 3D delts. And yeah, that's really how I grew my delts, how I grew these shoulders, is by utilizing these set exercises for the front, the side, and the rear, as well as progressive overload over time to where I'm not using the same light weight, but over time I increase it as I go. But here's the biggest thing. I don't really ever go to like 50s or 60s when it comes to lateral raises or behind the back lateral raises, or even this. Pick a weight that you can do a rep range of 12, 15 to even 20 on, and just push yourself within that rep range. And I promise you it's gonna give you more growth, because you have to understand, the shoulder, yes, it's a big muscle group, but it's not that big to the point where it requires a lot of load to grow. Sometimes all it needs is just a little push. All it needs is just a few more reps, and that will help you when it comes to achieving the physique that you want. Most importantly, again, getting those 3D delts. And you remember, if you found this helpful, make sure to subscribe, like, and follow your favorite natural coach for more videos like this one. Peace.